China's maritime forces fired water cannons at Philippine ships yet again, this time along Bajo de Masinloc, Scarborough Shoal. Let's get more details on this incident from Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson for West Philippine Sea, Commodore Jay Tarriela, is joining us live today. Sir, good morning.
Good morning, Risa, and good morning to our viewers.
Commodore, can you give us a brief account of the incident yesterday concerning our vessel and the Chinese ship?
Well, this Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources operation, we on the part of the Philippine Coast Guard, we are just monitoring how it would turn out. The original, the mission objective of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources is to provide humanitarian and support assistance to those reported Filipino fishing vessels within the vicinity of Bajo de Masinloc. So, as an effort of the Bureau of Fisheries and the national government to provide fuel subsidy and also to give away packs to those Filipino fishermen, this prompted the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources to deploy three vessels. The two of those vessels departed December 8 around 4 p.m. from Orion Port in Bataan, and also another BFAR vessel that departed from Suwal, Pangasinan. And then they arrived yesterday early morning, and that these are the incidents that happened. They have experienced being water cannon 8 times, and Chinese Maritime Militia also used their acoustic device that has provided a lot of discomfort to the crew of the BFAR vessel. And I think the most, for me, what I don't really like with the Chinese Coast Guard action is that they deployed the rigid hull inflatable boats from the Chinese Coast Guard vessels, and they have driven away the Filipino fishing vessels. And their only intent really was to receive the fuel subsidy from the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. So for me, this is the most heartbreaking thing, seeing our fellow Filipino fishermen being treated that way, considering that Bajo de Masinloc does not just fall within our exclusive economic zone, but it is a high tide elevation, and it generates a territorial sea, meaning that we have a territorial sovereignty over these waters. And this also recognized by the 2016 arbitral ruling that this is a traditional fishing grounds both for Filipinos, Vietnamese, and even the Chinese.
Commodore, would you say this has anything to do with the Christmas convoy? Or is it just coincidental?
I think this incident is different from that of the Atinito Christmas Convoy coalition that is being conducted now in Palawan. Because this has been the activity of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. They did it already. They did this already for a lot of times or in the past months. But as I said, I think the only thing that is different right now is they're now using water cannons once again to attack to use the water cannons to prevent the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources from proceeding to Ayungin Shoal, to Bajo de Masinloc. I'm sorry.
Commodore, how are our personnel doing? Because we understand there were reports that there were damages on the vessel. But our personnel, are they okay?
Well, for the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources personnel, I think they're perfectly fine. Nobody among the crew were injured or harmed. It was only reported that Datu Tamblot sustained some structural damages from its navigational and communicational equipment.
In the reports also, Commodore, there was a mention of a long-range acoustic device. Can you explain to us this further?
Well, it was reported that it's a long-range acoustic device because it has a lasting effect to the sailors of Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. We believe that it's not just an ordinary ship's horn because it doesn't have that kind of irritating and painful feeling in your senses through hearing. But whenever they use this, and it was reported that they used this 3 times, it has this kind of feeling that it is so painful for them. That's why we assume that this is a long-range acoustic device.
Was this the first time that we've actually encountered something like this, Commodore?
Well, this is the first time that we saw this from being used here in Bajo de Masinloc. But definitely, this is not the first time that the Chinese Coast Guard are using this in different parts of the West Philippine Sea.
Commodore Tarriela, we also got reports that the Chinese Coast Guard made some very dangerous maneuvers. How aggressive was this tactic this time around? And do you think there was an intent actually to hit Philippine vessels?
Well, the dangerous maneuvers were actually carried out by the Chinese maritime militia vessels. At some point, the dangerous maneuver even resulted to a heating of the rail of one of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. But it's not that severe. So again, if our BFAR sailors were really not that skillful in seamanship, it would have resulted to a much more severe accident. But again, also in the part of the Coast Guard and BFAR, this is something that we would like to prevent. We don't want to have a much bigger accidental collision.
One last question, sir. The National Task Force has issued a statement already. Do we have any reports if China has already received this? Have they sent a reply regarding this latest incident in Bajo de Masinloc?
Regarding how the Chinese government responded or took the statement of the National Task Force West Philippine Sea, I think the Department of Foreign Affairs is in the better position to respond to that question.